Super excited to bring on Sebastian today. He's one of the co-founders at Cruva. Cruva is the most useful software that you need for TikTok Shop. If you want to be successful, it's great for creator recruiting, finding and vetting creators, tracking the halo effect. It pretty much does it all. We use it here at AmpliSell, love it. And Sebastian's got a ton of experience in TikTok Shop. He's meeting with brands, traveling across the world. So there's a ton of value that he's going to provide today. And I'm excited to unpack what's going on TikTok Shop and how people can scale and succeed. So welcome, Sebastian.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. It's really great to be here. When you asked me, I was really excited to be able to kind of chat through. I think it's fun to get both sides, where it's like, software versus agency. You guys are really like in the day-to-day operating, and then we kind of see like the trends from maybe like 30,000 feet. So I think it'll be a fun conversation.
Yeah, and let's jump into that, because that's a question I have for you is, what are you seeing from sort of that high level view of the trends on TikTok Shop? One of the things that I feel like people are noticing is like, hey, the TikTok pyramid, or the pool of creators is really a fat pyramid, and the ones that sell a lot, there's not a lot of them, and everybody's like, oh, I have 1,000 creators. It's like, okay, great, but if each one only makes one sale a month, you're not doing great. It's like, how do we get to those bigger creators?
Yeah, well, number one is there's a huge mismatch, right? We're talking about hundreds of thousands of brands on TikTok Shop. And in the US, there are 8,000 plus L3 creators, right? And L3 plus is just a TikTok terminology. It just means that they do more than $25,000 a month in revenue. So hundreds of thousands of brands looking for partnerships with 8,000 creators. So there's just this huge mismatch. And so what we're seeing is that brands are needing to be more and more intentional with how they are approaching these creators. Number one, the offer has to be really attractive.
Yeah.
So you need to be really compelling. It's like, is your product viral already, right? If it's not, then how do you make this the highest and best use of a creator's time, right? Because at the end of the day, they're investing their time to hopefully get an ROI later down the line. You have to convince them that that time investment is absolutely worth it. So like at a high level, we're just seeing it get more competitive, and brands need to do more just to really stand out.
You made a great point. I think you said there's 100,000 brands going after 8,000 creators, right?
There's even more than that. We're talking like we're 500,000 brands. Like it's so many brands.
Yeah. And that's probably growing faster than that pool of L3 plus creators.
It absolutely is. So that's the most important thing. Is like at the start of the year, and we pick up brands in our database through social intelligence, which I'm sure you use, where you're able to see every brand. And so we have a little ticker at the bottom where you can see the total count. Right now, that's sitting at around 220,000. And we pick up a brand when they start to work with a creator, right? That's when they populate into our database. So there's another probably few 100,000 that aren't in our database, because we only really are picking up the ones who are worth picking up. That was like 130,000 at the start of the year. So
wow,
that has almost doubled, right? In 6 months. And the number of creators has absolutely not doubled in that same time frame, right? The L3 plus, yes, they're making more money on average. The biggest creators are making more money, but there hasn't been this like huge growth in the number of creators who are, that L3 plus 25K per month mark.
Yeah, it's hard to be a creator. It's a relatively newish kind of job, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, starting a business, building a brand, like that's what I did before I started AmpliSell. It wasn't easy, but it's like, okay, that's a pretty standard thing to do. But being a creator feels like this like new and exciting job. I saw the other day that like ASU has like now a creator course or something like that, or a creator degree.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, or an influencer degree. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It totally is. And what's interesting, I think it's kind of akin to like being an influencer maybe back, 10 years ago almost, where you now see like UGC creators and TikTok Shop affiliates are kind of like, a lot of them are doing both. And that's becoming like a real full-time job. A lot of people are realizing like, wow, I can replace my full-time income by becoming a UGC and TikTok Shop affiliate creator.
Yeah, it's wild. One of my favorite creators is Jordan Gunderson, and she's a creator for Comfort. And she only has like 45,000 followers, but she did a podcast the other day and she's making like $750,000 a year. So I go and
Yeah.
look at her videos, and it's literally just her like trying on a comfort sweater, trying on another one, trying on another one. Here's a different color. Like, here's me in front of whatever. Like, and I'm just like, damn, if I was good looking, that's what I would do right now.
It's really incredible how life-changing the opportunity is for
Yeah.
creators right now. I think that more of these kind of communities, and like what you mentioned about ASU, I think those need to continue to come up. We need more and more of these kind of training programs to show
Yeah.
people like, hey, this can be a real career path, that making content for brands is something that you can do to replace your income. Because it absolutely is. And we see it over and over again. Again, that creator making, $750,000. I don't know how old she is, but I'm guessing she's probably like 30 or even maybe even younger and making all this money. And like, it's so possible.
I agree with you. Like, we need some like influencer schools or something like that. Maybe there are some that I don't know about. I'm a millennial. I'm 42, right? So like, I'm not getting marketed that. Nobody wants to see me out there. So like, one, we've got a big pool of brands fighting over a smaller pool of creators. What other trends are you seeing out there?
I would say the biggest thing is community. Brands are really realizing how important community and retention are, where the departure from kind of the spray and pray model has gotten even more prominent. Again, there are only 8,000 creators. So it comes back to that. So if you work with an L3 plus creator, it's not about just getting one video from them. It's you need lots of videos, right? And so you need to figure out ways to keep them coming back to your brand. That creator you mentioned, you said she's a comfort creator. What does it take for a TikTok shop creator to say, oh, I'm a comfort creator? Because that's not normal. That's not a normal thing. Creators are generally working with 30, 40, 50 brands per month, making hundreds of videos across tons of different categories. So what has comfort done to essentially make it so a creator would say, oh, no, I just work with comfort? They give that creator an unbelievable opportunity, right? They've built a really, really good community. A lot of these creators have been working with them since they were like brand new to the platform. Comfort saw something in them and then grew them to that level. They helped them grow to that level. And so
100%.
those creators are really, really loyal as a result of that. So I think what brands are realizing is, okay, there's only 8,000 L3 plus. So how do we take the rest of the pool? How do we spot potential high performers? And how do we reach out to them? How do we incubate them? How do we build a relationship with them early and really help them to take that next step in their career? And then we're going to build that trust and that loyalty long.
Exactly. So I talk about this actually in my newsletter that went out today. I was talking about webinars for your creator community.
Yeah.
100% agree you need to be running a creator community, but you also need to be making your creator community better, like help them get better, do the training that they wish they had. And so what we do is we do these webinars where we'll ping our creator community and be like, hey guys, like next week, everybody's meeting here. We'll incentivize them to show up. So it'll be like, hey, first person in the chat gets a $25 gift card. Everybody that asks a question gets like a free, whatever, XYZ package. And then we like do all these incentives to get them in. And then when we get them in, here's what's really cool. We take the top creators and I ask them ahead of time and we say, hey, walk through your top posts for the last week. What did you do? What was the hooks? What worked? How can other people replicate this? And we basically just have the top creators train the rest of the creators. And it works so well because the people that are good love talking about what they're good at. And the people that are not as good love learning from people who have actually done it. They don't give a shit about what I have to say about how to create content. And I don't know either. But they basically like train themselves. And our creators love this. It also encourages them to post more, like out of it. They come out of it super excited. They post more. We've seen GMV boosts. Like we actually seen like a true ROI to running these. So that's something that I like break down fully in my newsletter. I won't get into it too much here, but like it goes back to your point of like, you've got to build that community and then improve that community.
And there's such an excitement that comes out of like creating that community. Like you said, you saw that GMV boost, right? Because the creators, they can see the potential. They're hearing from somebody who's actually done it with that specific brand or product. And so then they can say, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. Because they see the type of content and they know, okay, this is repeatable for me. This is something that I can actually do. And it's a lot, easier for them to picture themselves actually succeeding with that specific product.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, that's the big thing, right? It's like, I can visualize myself doing that and somebody has given me the playbook to do that.
Exactly.
Because it's like you said, at the end of the day, there's 8,000 L3 creators. I think as agencies, part of our job is to make more of those because we need more of those, right?
We do. Absolutely.
And that's something that we've been doing at AmpliSell also too, is we built an AmpliSell creator community because it's a win for everybody. What we do is we go to the creators and we're like, hey, we've got 20 brands that you can work with. So we're bringing a lot of brands to you. We go to the brands and say, look, we've got a community that's ready to go that helps with a cold start. And it just becomes this nice virtuous flywheel of like everybody benefits from that. That is like table stakes nowadays. You mentioned earlier, like we're moving away from the spray and pray approach. Like, yeah, you still got to sample and you still got to get creators in, but it's not as effective as it was 1 or even 2 years ago when there was fewer brands or when the creators outnumber the brands.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be sampling, but you need to be sampling intentionally, and you just have to be focused on retention. Like, how many videos are you getting back per creator, right?
Yeah.
If you're a brand and you don't know that question, you don't know how to increase that number, it's going to be really, really hard to scale, because the brands that are sending out 100 samples and getting 100 videos versus the ones who are sending out 100 samples and getting 350 videos, that's now like directly to your bottom line. Right?
Yeah.
You can put a GMV per video, and those additional videos per creator aren't costing you anything other than commission. Your sample's already been sent. The shipping fees have already been spent, right? So there's no additional fees there. So it's all going to be, for the most part, like your highest margin orders that you're going to get are from those additional videos.
Exactly. I posted about this 2 weeks ago too. I was like, look, you have to track this metric because this is your ROI. It's like you said, it's like the best lever to pull. And getting creators to post more videos is like, running the webinar. What else do we do? You can run incentives for volume too, because like you never know when a video is going to be hit. This is something else I talk about a lot, is like, it's really about just getting a ton of at-bats and the algorithm. Some videos, you're gonna have a ton of duds, a ton of singles, and then every now and then you hit homers, but you're not gonna hit homers unless you're like swinging a lot, right? And creating a lot of videos.
Exactly. You have to be getting a ton of content out and refining that process really, really quickly. Like, one thing that we really try and focus on at Cruva is giving you the ability to quickly iterate. And like, I hope this is something you use, where it's like you could see all the selling points and the top hooks from your top content, and then hopefully feed that in to all of your new creators, so you're constantly teaching them and shortening those feedback loops. That's like something I was just talking about. This is so funny with, I don't know if you know Sohan Sanka of Clankers now, but he was doing an automated newsletter to his creators. So he would build an automated newsletter for creators that had a brief every week on like what is performing really, really well for the brand in terms of hooks and selling points and top videos. And so he was using our API, then having an automated pull every single week. And then it would go to Beehive via MCP, and like it was completely automated. And yet the email that came out was beautiful, and it provided a ton of value to affiliates. So it was just like another touch point and another kind of brand building event and a way to provide value to your creators.
I'm really glad we're recording because I'm totally stealing that. That's a brilliant idea. Just to make sure I understand. So what he's doing is he basically creates a Beehive newsletter. It's going to go out to all of their creators. And then every week they get that newsletter, and it's basically, hey, here are the top hooks. Here's the top trends. Here's the top products. Here's what's working. Maybe even, hey, here's your incentives for the week, and just kind of like priming them to keep selling.
Yep, exactly. And he had another intermediary, some other design tool that took the data, put it into like this beautiful design that's like brand safe and looks amazing for the brand, and then sent it out via Beehive MCP. And like was just an example of like what the cutting edge is. And people think like, oh, the playbooks are written, there's no innovation. Like, there is innovation. There are ways to like push the envelope further.
That is a brilliant idea, and especially to leveraging AI. So you guys have an MCP now too, getting a little off topic, but basically I can talk to Cruva with Claude now.
Yes. And so that's what he's doing. So it's completely automated because we're like the data repository that he could pull all the data out, put it into a design tool, format a full email from the data, and then ship it with Beehive MCP. And the whole process is hands-free, touch-free. You don't have to enter anything, no manual work. And you could just create this automated reporting. It's like incredible what you can do now with Claude Code as like a marketer when you're tying it into all these different tools.
Okay, some people might not know. Walk me through a little bit like the MCP, what MCP means, and Cruva's now can act as a data repository. Help an idiot like me to understand.
Yeah. By the way, I'm an idiot too. So you asked me what MCP means. I have no idea, but I'll tell you how you can use it. So what you can do is Cruva is going to link to your TikTok shop, and we're going to have all of your affiliate data, everything. So how do you actually connect that data to your AI chat, right?
Okay.
Something like Claude or ChatGPT. You can do that via MCP. So it's just a simple connection. There's instructions on Cruva. I don't know the technicalities, but you plug it in. And then what you can do is you can go into Claude and you can say, hey, who are my top 50 creators for the past week? And it'll access your Cruva data to pull all that in. You can do a ton of things in there. You can say, hey, I want to benchmark myself against the top 5 other products in my niche and see how I'm doing in terms of videos per creator. And then you're going to be able to do that. I want to see how I'm doing in terms of revenue concentration from my top 10% creators. And it can do that. So it has access through the Cruva MCP to all the marketplace data too, is what's super exciting. So you can see all of your competitor insights now in Claude in combination with your data. So that's the really impactful part, is you can start to compare and build these custom reports against all of your competitors to benchmark. And then you can set up automations to run these on a weekly cadence. And so we've been doing like a ton of workshops. The reason it's on my mind with Sohan is because he's in office this week down in LA. And we've been doing just like a ton of workshops on like what is like the cutting edge of what you can do with this new technology. So one example was what he calls like dark horse creators, where there's a way to find creators who are like the dark horses, who are growing 50% week over week from a competitor with more than $50 in spend, because for $50 in GMV. So everyone's going for the top GMV creators. Like you go to Comfort and you're like, let me try and go reach out to their top creators. But those creators, everyone's reaching out to them. So how do you find a creator who is outperforming the median and is small and they're up and coming, and you can get in early with them and kind of, build that relationship early, but you want to, of course, screen them first to identify that, hey, they actually have potential. So you're going to look for creators who are growing really quickly in your category with more than a certain benchmark in revenue, and then create an outreach automation all through Claude. By the way, this shipped last week. You could now do outreach automations through Claude to Cruva. And then you can just reach out to all those creators with a super personalized message saying, hey, we saw you were up and coming. We'd love to work together. And this is what, is called the dark horse automation.
Yeah, because these creators are flying under the radar, but we're seeing them get better, or they're getting some traction. They clearly figured something out, and it's going to be way easier to get them to work with us than the Comfort top creator who's already making $1 million a year.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I think you just unpacked probably the 2 most valuable things I've heard about TikTok Shop in the last month. Both of those are awesome strategies. I think everybody has a good idea of how to copy them. Anything else, man? Like free flow, you got a third? Fuck, I feel like we should just keep going for like an hour.
Like those are the 2 biggest things I'm seeing right now in the market. I think also brands, if you're big enough, go global, and go global quick. We've seen what, being an early mover has been in the US. If you are a global company and you have the bandwidth to go global, like the opportunity in Europe is huge and it's ever growing. We just did an event in Germany, and the creators are so excited. They are so hungry and so fun to work with. It's kind of like how creators in the US were, back 2 years ago, where nobody really knew what was going on, but it's like there's this excitement in the air. And now it's like, okay, they're so in demand that they're harder to get in touch with in the US. The top ones are, they know that like they are the prize, you know what I mean? Which is understandable. They are. But in Germany and some of these up and coming EU markets, it's just totally different. And it's such an exciting time to be able to get in early and like set your brand up for a ton of success in the future. So I'd say like EU is really exciting. You probably don't want to do it if you're not established and really already doing well in the US already. But I think that's a really, really exciting market, and one that people just aren't looking at.
That's a conversation actually we've been having with a lot of our brands, is they're like, hey, we want to go international.
Yeah.
and something we've been doing. I feel like China really built that social media selling culture, and then like we're figuring it out in the USA, and then the rest of the world's figuring out. And so it's like really just expanding. And that's why like I'm all in on sort of TikTok and social commerce. I think the next generation, this is going to be how they basically shop and experience commerce and buy things.
It will be. Think about the fact that it's really only TikTok that has a mechanism for this. That it doesn't really exist well on YouTube. It doesn't really exist well on Meta.
Yep.
Will those platforms launch? Of course they will. Right. In a decade from now, this will just be the de facto. I think influencer budgets are shrinking. Nobody wants to go pay $1 million to a creator with 5 million followers anymore. You can still, and like there's a brand building element from that. But in terms of like performance, I mean, it's really hard to compete with micro influencers or these affiliates and creating these armies of creators who are able to make so much content for your brand. No, like we have these conversations all the time, but for people, you know, outside looking in, it's not yet maybe apparent for all of them that this is kind of the way of the future.
You make a really good point too, is people think a lot about influencers like, oh, fuck, I got to go pay like $10,000 to this creator to post my stuff. Or if you're even bigger, it's like, all right, we got to go book Kim Kardashian. She wants 10 million for a post. And it's like, dude, that's not what drives revenue. And it's definitely not what drives revenue consistently on these channels, right? Exactly. Going back to Jordan Gunnarsson, last I checked, she had like 45 or 75,000 followers, but still like not even 1 million, right? I mean, it's still impressive, but it's like, it's not these big ones, man. It's these people that have really cracked the algorithm and know how to create content that sells.
Yeah. And you know what it is? They're real people. They're not putting on a facade. An influencer's job is to make their life look all extravagant. That's not the job of an affiliate. The job of an affiliate is to be real and pick products that they genuinely like, they genuinely care about, and that comes through as authentic when they're actually filming.
Yeah, this is like a whole other thing we could unpack, but it's like the desire for authenticity is always going to be there, and it's always going to be strong. And it's going to be even stronger in a world where we're increasingly disconnected through like social media, you know, et cetera. So
exactly. And I think in the world of AI too, we just have this like crave for real people and real content.
Exactly. Well, Sebastian, dude, I could keep you on here all day, but I know I promised you we'd get it done in 20 minutes. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, this was an absolute pleasure. I'm always down to come on, and you know, thank you so much for being an amazing partner and like one of our best agency partners. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. We're not the biggest, you know, sort of agency partner, but we're that influential middle one.
Yeah. Well, you guys are killing it. You're doing amazing work, and I really appreciate and glad to be a part of the story.
Thanks, Sebastian. So tell everybody, like, real quick, how can they get a hold of you? How can we use Cruva, right? We just talked about like 2 really awesome ways we can leverage Cruva, connect into the MCP, and get more creators and better creators, and then keep our creators posting more through the newsletter.
So Cruva.com, maybe we can link below, and then just LinkedIn is good. Maybe we can link that below, but just Sebastian Nelson on LinkedIn.
Sebastian Nelson on LinkedIn, Cruva.com, and go check it out.